November 1922. The Valley of the Kings. Imagine the silence. Not the quiet of a library, but the heavy, suffocating silence of a space that hasn't breathed for 3,300 years. When Howard Carter broke the seal of the tomb, the air that rushed out didn't just smell of stale dust, it smelled of incense, of dried flowers, and of something else, something metallic. Inside, gold was everywhere. Gold chariots, gold masks, gold coffins. To the ancient Egyptians, gold was the flesh of the gods. It was eternal. It was perfect. But buried deep within the layers of linen wrapping the mummified body of the boy king, Tutankhamun, lay an object that was worth more than all that gold combined. A weapon. It was tucked against his right thigh, close to the skin, ready for the afterlife. Here is the paradox that keeps archaeologists awake at night. In an era where human civilization was defined by soft, dull bronze, King Tut was buried with a blade of steel that was still sharp enough to shave with. A blade that, by all laws of history and science, should not exist. Welcome to Julian's arsenal. Today, we unwrap the most dangerous anomaly in history. To understand why this knife is terrifying, you have to understand the world it was born into. The 14th century BC, the Bronze Age. If you were a soldier in the Pharaoh's army, your sword was a heavy, clumsy thing. It bent if you hit a shield too hard. It dulled after a single battle. Bronze is an alloy of copper and tin. It's soft, it's weak. Iron was a myth. To the Egyptians, iron was known as Bia and Pet, literally the metal of heaven. It was a substance so rare, so impossible to extract from the earth, that it was valued at 10 times the price of gold. You see, the Egyptians could melt gold. Gold melts at a manageable 1,000 degrees Celsius. A campfire can almost do that. But iron requires 1,500 degrees to smelt. It requires technology, furnaces, and bellows that simply did not exist in the Nile Valley. So when Carter unwrapped the mummy in 1925, 3 years after opening the tomb, he expected to find amulets. He expected gold jewels. Instead, he found it. Let's look at it. 13 inches of lethal perfection. The handle is gold, decorated with granular patterns and ending in a crystal knob. Beautiful, yes, but we don't care about the handle. We care about the blade. Look at the surface. Even today, after 33 centuries in a humid tomb, there is barely a spot of rust. Iron rusts, it oxidizes, it returns to the earth. A typical iron sword from the Roman era, thousands of years younger than this one, would be nothing but a pile of orange dust today. But Tut's dagger, it shines. It glimmers with a cold gray light. When Carter pulled it from the sheath, it made a sound, a sharp shing noise, the sound of metal that hasn't aged a day. For decades, the rationalists in the scientific community tried to explain it away. It's just an alloy, they said. It was imported from the north, they claimed, but they were ignoring the visual evidence staring them in the face. If you look under a microscope, the blade doesn't look like hammered iron. It has a structure, a pattern, a chaotic, organic flow of crystals that looks less like metal and more like frozen lightning. Why did the Egyptians place this specific weapon on the king's thigh? Not in a chest, not on the wall, but against his body. Because they believed this metal had magical properties. They believed it could cut through spirits. They believed that whoever held this weapon could kill the demons of the underworld. But where did they get it? If they couldn't melt iron ore, who made it? Fast forward to 2016. A team of researchers from the Polytechnic University of Milan and the Egyptian Museum in Cairo decided to solve the riddle once and for all. They couldn't cut the dagger. It's too precious, so they used a technique called X-ray fluorescent spectrometry. Essentially, they blasted the blade with X-rays to read its atomic fingerprint. The machine hummed, the data appeared on the screen, and the room went silent. Standard iron ore from Earth contains almost zero nickel, maybe 4% if you're lucky. Tutankhamun's blade contained nearly 11% nickel and traces of cobalt. This specific chemical cocktail, high nickel trace cobalt, is found in only one place in the universe. It's found in the hearts of dying stars that exploded billions of years ago, in the wandering rocks that scream through our atmosphere, burning at thousands of degrees before slamming into the desert sand. This dagger was not mined, it was caught. It was a meteorite. Imagine the scene. A ball of fire streaks across the Egyptian sky, brighter than the sun. A sonic boom shatters the silence of the desert. The priests run to the crater. They find a smoking black rock. They don't see a rock. They see the bones of a god. So we have the answer, right? It's a meteorite. Case closed. Wrong. This is where the story gets dark. Knowing it's a meteorite is the easy part. The hard part is, how did they forge it? Meteoritic iron is notoriously brittle. If you heat it and hammer it like normal copper, it shatters like glass, it cracks, it fights back. To shape a meteorite into a blade this thin, this sharp, and this symmetrical requires a technique that is completely different from bronze working. It requires cold forging at a microscopic level or temperature control so precise it rivals modern industry. The Egyptians didn't have this technology. We know they didn't. Their furnaces were primitive. So, who made it? Was it a gift, a lost civilization, or something else? And here is the detail that most history books leave out, the detail that sends a shiver down your spine. When they analyzed the dagger, they found something else. The handle. The gold handle is attached to the blade with a type of lime plaster. Plaster, a simple glue. But when they dated the plaster and analyzed the craftsmanship of the gold hilt, it didn't match the blade. The handle is Egyptian style, but the blade's proportions, the central rib, the geometry, it doesn't look Egyptian. It looks foreign, alien even to the people of the Nile. It suggests that the Egyptians didn't make the blade. They found it, or they were given it, and they simply put a handle on it. So, if the pharaohs, the most powerful men on earth, couldn't forge this metal, who did? We thought this dagger was unique, one of a kind, but buried in the diplomatic archives of Amarna, written on clay tablets, there is a letter from a king of a distant land, boasting about daggers of iron sent as a bride price. And there is a second object in the tomb, something smaller, something wrapped even tighter than the dagger. We focused so much on the weapon, we missed the warning. The dagger wasn't a tool for war, it was a key. And in the next episode, we are going to turn that key. We will travel north to the Empire of Iron and discover the bloody origin of the blade. And we will find out why shortly after this dagger entered Egypt, the 18th dynasty collapsed into chaos, plague, and death. Did the metal of heaven carry a curse from the stars? Subscribe to Julian's Arsenal. You don't want to miss what we dig up next. The answer to the mystery of King Tut's blade wasn't found in a tomb. It was found in a trash heap. In the ruins of Amarna, the lost city of the heretic king, archaeologists found a stash of diplomatic letters, clay tablets baked in the sun, inscribed with the cuneiform script of ancient diplomacy. They call them the Amarna Letters. Most are boring, requests for gold, complaints about grain. But tablet number 22 is different. It is a letter from King Tut of Mitanni, a kingdom that vanished long ago in the dust of modern-day Syria. He is writing to the pharaoh of Egypt. He is arranging a marriage. He is sending his daughter to be a bride. But he knows a princess isn't enough to impress a living god. So he sends a dowry. The tablet lists the items: gold, ivory, lapis lazuli, and then item number 34,
a dagger. The blade is of abalkinu. Abalkinu. Linguists fought for years over this word. It translates roughly to steal from the planet or steal from the sky. This confirms it. The blade wasn't made in Egypt, it was imported. But this raises a much more terrifying question. If the Egyptians, the greatest engineers of the ancient world, couldn't forge meteorites, how did a tribe in the Syrian mountains do it? What did they know that the pharaohs did not? To understand the dagger, you have to leave the golden sands of Egypt. You have to go north to the dark, jagged mountains of Anatolia, the land of the Hittites and the Mitanni. While Egypt was basking in the sun, building pyramids, the people of the north were living in a world of fire and rock. They were the boogeymen of the Bronze Age. They were a warrior culture, hard, unforgiving, and they possessed a secret technology that was the equivalent of the atomic bomb in 1300 BC. They knew how to talk to the black rocks. You see, for the rest of the world, a meteorite was a holy object. You put it in a temple and prayed to it. You didn't touch it. It was the body of a god. To hit it with a hammer was blasphemy. But the Hittite smiths didn't care about blasphemy. They cared about power. They realized that these fallen stars were harder than bronze, stronger than copper. But there was a problem. A meteorite is not like iron ore from the ground. It is complex. It contains high amounts of nickel. If you heat it up and try to smash it like normal iron, it doesn't bend. It shatters. It explodes like glass. So how do you turn a shattering stone into a razor-sharp blade? The process was a nightmare. Modern metallurgists have tried to replicate it, and they realized that the Hittite smiths must have had the patience of madmen. They didn't use high heat. They couldn't. Fire was the enemy of the meteorite. Instead, they likely used a technique called cold forging, combined with very low temperature annealing. Imagine this, a blacksmith sitting in a dim cave. He holds a chunk of raw, jagged meteorite. He hits it, tink. He creates a microfracture. He stops. He heats it gently, just enough to relax the crystal structure, but not enough to break it. Then he hits it again, tink, for days, weeks, months, thousands of hours of rhythmic tapping, flattening the cosmic rock millimeter by millimeter. If he hits it too hard once, the blade cracks, months of work ruined. If he heats it too much, the nickel separates, ruined. This wasn't manufacturing, this was torture. The man who made Tutankhamun's dagger likely spent half his life on that single object. He breathed in the metallic dust. His hands were permanently stained gray. And here's the strange part. When you work with meteoritic iron, you aren't just shaping metal, you are preserving a pattern, the Widmanstatten pattern. It's a crosshatch structure of crystals that only forms in the vacuum of space over millions of years of cooling. If the smith had used a furnace, that pattern would vanish. But on Tut's dagger, the pattern is still there, faint but visible to the X-ray. This means the smith knew. He knew he wasn't just making a sharp knife. He was preserving the fingerprint of the stars. He kept the soul of the weapon intact. But why? Why go through this hell to create a weapon for a foreign king? History tells us it was a gift, a diplomatic gesture to seal a peace treaty between the Mitanni and Egypt. Here is my daughter, and here is a blade that cannot break. But look closer at the timing. The dagger arrived in Egypt during the reign of Amenhotep III, Tutankhamun's grandfather. At that moment, Egypt was at its peak. It was untouchable. The Mitanni were afraid. They needed an alliance, so they sent their most precious technology right into the heart of the enemy's palace. But was it a gift, or was it a boast? By sending this blade, King Tut was sending a message. You have gold, you have grain, you have sunlight, but we have the metal of war. We can shape the stars. Remember this while you sleep. It was a threat wrapped in silk, and the Egyptians took the bait. They didn't understand the technology, so they worshipped it. They put a gold handle on it. They embellished it with lilies and jackals. They dressed the alien weapon in Egyptian clothes. But you can't domesticate a wolf by putting a collar on it. Amenhotep III died. His son, the heretic Akhenaten, took the throne and went mad. He tore down the old gods. He moved the capital. He plunged Egypt into chaos. And then he died, leaving the throne to a sickly 9-year-old boy, Tutankhamun. The dagger passed from grandfather to father to son, an heirloom of a dynasty that was crumbling. Tutankhamun was frail. He had a clubbed foot. He had malaria. He needed a cane to walk. He was the weakest king in Egypt's history, and yet he kept this weapon closer to him than anyone else. He didn't hang it on the wall. When he died, the priests strapped it to his right thigh, directly against the linen, millimeters from his flesh. Why? Did he think the star metal would cure him? Or did he think it would help him fight the demons that were coming for him? We assumed the dagger was just a knife, but we forgot one thing about meteorites. They don't just fall from space, they travel through the cosmic radiation belts. They absorb the universe. And in the ancient world, objects that came from the sky were often considered cursed for a reason. There's a theory, controversial, dark, and terrifying, that the dagger wasn't just a weapon, it was a catalyst. Recent DNA studies of Tutankhamun's family DNA reveal a pattern of genetic degradation that accelerated right around the time this object entered the royal bloodline. Coincidence? Maybe. But in the next episode, we're going to look at the body. We're going to examine the autopsy of the boy king, and we will explore the possibility that the weapon he brought to the afterlife was the very thing that sent him there. Did the alien dagger kill Tutankhamun? Subscribe to Julian's Arsenal. The autopsy begins now.
Did the alien dagger kill King Tut? In the last episode, we left you with a question that sounded like science fiction. Was the dagger radioactive? Did it poison the pharaoh with the invisible fire of the cosmos? The short answer is no. Meteorites lose their radioactivity long before they hit the ground. A Geiger counter placed on the dagger today would stay silent. But that doesn't mean the dagger didn't kill him. There are poisons worse than radiation. There is the poison of expectation, the poison of legacy. You see, King Tut died at 19. His body was a wreck, a walking pathology museum. And yet, he was buried with the most advanced weapon on Earth strapped to his leg. Why give a space-age weapon to a boy who could barely walk? Unless he wasn't the cripple we think he was. Unless the dagger was the tool he used to try and rewrite his own destiny. And failed. Let's strip away the gold mask. Let's look at the meat and bone. In 2010, a massive DNA study revealed the truth about Tutankhamun. He was the product of extreme incest. His father and mother were brother and sister. The result was a genetic disaster. He had a clubbed foot. He had Kohler disease, which meant the bones in his foot were slowly dying, necrosis. He had malaria. He walked with a cane. In fact, he was buried with 130 canes. Now, picture the contrast. On one side, a frail, sickly boy hobbling through the palace, smelling of medicinal oils and sickness. On the other side, the dagger, cold, hard, invincible, the iron from the sky. In the ancient mindset, metals weren't just materials, they were transfers of power. By strapping the meteoritic blade to his thigh, the priests weren't just arming him, they were trying to fix him. They believed the strength of the star metal would seep into his failing bones. It was a primitive battery, a desperate attempt to charge a dying battery. But new forensic evidence suggests something even more tragic. Tut didn't just want to hold the dagger, he wanted to use it. For decades, historians called him the boy king, the passive puppet. But look at the other items in his tomb.
There is a suit of leather armor. When experts examined it recently, they found something shocking. It wasn't ceremonial, it was worn. The edges were frayed, the leather was stretched at the joints. Someone had worn this armor in the heat of the desert. Someone had sweated in it. Someone had moved in it. And then, look at the dagger's edge again. It has been sharpened. Meteoritic iron holds an edge far longer than bronze. It bites deeper. It cuts cleaner. Here is the theory. Despite his pain, despite his clubbed foot, Tutankhamun tried to be a warrior. He tried to live up to the legacy of his grandfather. Imagine the scene, the young pharaoh strapping his leg tight to minimize the pain, putting on the armor, drawing the iron dagger. The dagger was lighter than bronze, faster. It was the only weapon he could wield effectively with his weak frame. But iron has a smell. Have you ever smelled fresh blood? It smells like copper, like iron. The dagger smelled of death. And in his desperate attempt to be strong, to train, to fight, did he make a mistake? The autopsy of King Tut shows the cause of death wasn't murder. It wasn't a blow to the head. It was a fracture, a broken leg just above the knee, a jagged break that became infected. Gangrene set in. The rot spread to his blood. How did a king break his leg so badly? Falling from a chariot or a training accident? Let's reconstruct the final days. The king is out in the desert, maybe hunting, maybe training for a war he would never fight. He has the iron dagger at his belt. He pushes his broken body too far. A crash, a fall, the snap of bone that echoes louder than thunder. He is carried back to the palace. The fever spikes. The priests chant. They apply ointments, but the infection is faster than their prayers. As he lies on his deathbed, burning with fever, what does he ask for? Does he ask for the gold? No, he asks for the protection of the gods. The priests bring the dagger, the object that has traveled billions of miles through the dark vacuum of space to be here. They place it on his body. They hope the alien metal will cut the fever, that it will kill the invisible demons in his blood. But the iron is cold, and the boy is hot. The metal does nothing. It is indifferent. The technology of the stars cannot save the biology of a human. Tutankhamun takes his last breath. The dynasty ends. The bloodline is severed. And the dagger, the most advanced piece of technology on the planet, is wrapped up in the linen. It is buried, removed from history. It goes dark for 3,000 years. The tragedy isn't just that Tut died. The tragedy is what happened next. With Tut's death, the secret of the iron dagger was literally buried. The Egyptians didn't learn how to forge it. The knowledge didn't spread. It was locked in a box. And here's the twist that makes you question history. Just a few decades after Tut was buried, the world ended. We call it the Bronze Age collapse. Around 1177 BC, civilization committed suicide. Cities burned. Trade routes stopped. The great empires, the Hittites, the Mycenaeans, the Egyptians, crumbled. Writing was forgotten. The lights went out. Why? Some say it was drought. Some say it was earthquakes. But there is another theory. A new group of warriors appeared on the horizon, the Sea Peoples, and they carried weapons that could shatter bronze swords like glass. The Iron Age was coming, but it didn't come as a salvation. It came as an apocalypse. Tutankhamun's dagger was a warning, a preview of the technology that would soon destroy the ancient world. He took the prototype to his grave, but the mass production was about to begin. In the final episode of this series, we uncover the lost link. Why did humanity lose the ability to forge space metal? And why, in 2024, are we suddenly obsessed with finding these weapons again? Is there another one out there, waiting to be dug up? The answer might be hiding in a museum basement in Japan. Subscribe to Julian's Arsenal. The age of iron is upon us.
Deep With, we think of history as a straight line. Progress, from caves to skyscrapers, from stone to silicon. We are wrong. History is a circle, and sometimes the lights go out. The technology used to create King Tut's dagger didn't just evolve into modern steel, it vanished. For 3,000 years, humanity forgot how to shape the stars. We learned to dig iron from the mud, sure. We learned to smelt it in blast furnaces, but that is messy. That destroys the soul of the metal. The art of cold forging a meteorite, of keeping the cosmic crystal structure intact while turning it into a razor, was a secret held by a few masters in the Anatolian mountains. And when the Bronze Age collapsed, when the cities burned and the sea peoples came, those masters died, and the secret died with them. Welcome to the finale of Julian's Arsenal. Today, we track the ghost of the star metal across time, from the sands of Egypt to the shrines of Japan. 1177 BC, the year civilization hit the reset button. The Hittite Empire, the creators of the dagger, was wiped off the map. Their libraries were burned, their forges were smashed. Imagine if a solar flare wiped out the internet today. How long until we forgot how to build a smartphone? 1 generation? 2? That is what happened to the star metal. Later civilizations found meteorites, yes, but they didn't know how to work them. They tried to heat them up, and the stones shattered. They tried to melt them, and the nickel separated, leaving useless slag. The magic was gone. The dagger in Tut's tomb became an anomaly, an oopart, an out-of-place artifact. But the sky didn't stop falling. Meteorites kept landing, and halfway across the world, thousands of years later, another warrior culture looked up and saw a gift from the war god, the samurai. Let's travel to feudal Japan. The samurai worshipped their swords. The katana wasn't just a tool, it was the soul of the warrior. Legends speak of the Tentetsuto, the sword of heaven. For centuries, these were considered myths, folklore, until we found them. In the Chiba Institute of Technology, there sits a blade. It is a katana, but look at the steel. It doesn't have the folding pattern of traditional Tamahagane steel. It has the Widmanstatten pattern, the same fingerprint found on Tut's dagger. This sword was forged from the Gibeon meteorite. But here's the difference. The Japanese smiths didn't use the Hittite cold forge technique. They didn't know it. They used something else: prayer and patience. Records tell of smiths who fasted for weeks before touching the star stone. They believed the stone had a spirit, a kami. If you hit it with anger, it would break. You had to ask the metal for permission to shape it. It sounds like superstition, but it was accidental science. By working slowly, by respecting the temperament of the metal, they managed to avoid shattering the brittle nickel-iron structure. They achieved the same result as the Hittites, separated by 3,000 years and 5,000 miles. Proof that the desire to wield the power of the cosmos is universal. So, can we do it today? In the 21st century, we have hydraulic presses, we have laser temperature control, we have AI. A few years ago, a team of master bladesmiths tried to recreate a meteorite sword. They took a chunk of the Campo del Cielo meteorite, they put it in the forge, and it was a disaster. The metal screamed, it cracked, it refused to weld. One smith described it as trying to forge a grilled cheese sandwich that hates you. It took them dozens of attempts. They had to encase the meteorite in a canister of steel just to hold it together. They eventually succeeded. The result was beautiful, but it proved one thing. The ancient smith who made King Tut's dagger, without lasers, without thermometers, sitting in a dark cave with nothing but a hammer and his eyes, was a genius. He possessed a tactile understanding of metallurgy that we have lost in our digital age. We have gained efficiency, but we have lost touch. King Tut's dagger is no longer just a weapon, it is a challenge. It sits in the Cairo Museum, silent and sharp. It reminds us that primitive does not mean stupid. It reminds us that the sky is not empty, it is a mine. Right now, billionaire companies are planning to mine asteroids. They want the platinum, they want the fuel, but maybe, just maybe, they should be looking for the iron, because the next great leap in weaponry might not come from a laboratory. It might come from the same place it came from 3,000 years ago, from above. The story of the alien dagger is finished, but the story of Julian's arsenal is just beginning. We have uncovered the weapon. Now we need to uncover the tactics. In our next series, we're going to dive into something even darker, the screaming mummies. Why were some royals buried with their mouths wide open, frozen in an eternal scream? Was it a mistake, or was it a ritual to terrify the gods themselves? You don't want to sleep on this channel. If you enjoyed this journey into the forbidden history of weapons, destroy that subscribe button. It helps the algorithm more than you know. And I want to hear from you in the comments. If a meteorite landed in your backyard today, would you sell it to a museum, or would you try to forge a sword? I'm Julian. This is The Arsenal. Stay sharp.